Hey everybody, welcome to Whispers and Ink and part 2 of our mixed media project. And here's our inspiration piece. We're not going to do exactly like this, but that was the inspiration for our current project. Remember our last video, we did the gluing of the tissue paper and the spritzing of the tissue paper. We're all dry now. So let's clean this up. And the easiest way, grab your Scotch tape. We're gonna flip this over and we're just gonna tape all this on the back. And then if you really wanna be fancy, you can put another either chipboard back here or a piece of cardstock back here or whatever that you desire. So we're just going to take our tape and we're going to go all the way around. And sometimes you got to tuck things and manipulate them just a little bit so that you can get it all adhered to the back. And you guys, it's only tissue paper. Don't fret. Even if you rip it, it'll only add to the coolness factor. All right. One more piece, I think. That little piece right there. Okay, so we should be all glued in, all square. Double check. We're going to put a piece here, and actually we're going to put a little piece there too, just to help secure the back portion. And like I said, you can cut a piece of cardstock and stick it back there. But let's focus on the pretty parts, because you guys know how to cut a 6x6 piece of cardstock and put it back there. All right. Now we've got all of this done. You guys have checked my video that for making your shimmer spritzer, and I know that you can see the shimmer in there. Where are we gonna go next? I have some crumb cake to mimic the craft paper that I used in the inspiration project, and I'm going to cut using my trimmer. I'm going to cut a little bit longer than 6 inches, you guys, because I like to rip. We're going to rip our edge, and then I'm going to cut this in half. And we'll go 4 inches on this one. And we'll do 4 1/4. All right, so we've got 2 different pieces that we can use. And we're going to, now when you're doing this, you got to think of what your end project is going to, what you want it to look like. So I want to do more of a kind of hillside, because what I'm eventually going to use, we're going to make some pine trees using the tissue, so I can show you how to stamp that. And then I want to use this big wood piece as my end, and then I want to do the "You Are Wonderful" inside of it. So that's going to be the end game. So I want to bring this up here, and I'm going to do, remember, rip towards you. And I think I'm going to end up pulling this over that way. There we go. And it's better to under rip than over rip, which what I'm talking about is it's better to go back and rip off a little bit more than to rip too much. And actually, I think I like that. So we're going to go with that piece. And then I want to do one more because I love the layer. And you'll see on our inspiration piece, you guys, I actually left space. I squished so that you would get that rolling look. That's what I want for this too, which is why it's a little bit longer, so that we'll be able to make it a 3D type of a project. And we're going to kind of mimic our hill here so that it looks like I'm liking that. And this is all, go with what you like. I know that I'm here to try to help you, inspire you, but really, you guys, this is your project. Be brave. You got this. We've got our sunset, and then we'll have our hillside. And I think I'm going to end up trimming this a little bit because I want this to be the piece that's got the big bow in it. So, but I don't know. We'll have to see, and we'll have to play with it just a little bit. All right, so we want that ripped edge. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take our ink and we're going to ink it up. Now, for this part, I pulled Old Olive, Mossy Meadow, Soft Suede, and just Jade because I want to have that depth and that different textures. So some of it we can stamp, like down in here, we can put some stamps in here, and then we can dirty up, brown the edges. And this is the fun part, you guys. It's what makes you happy. So we're gonna take, I'm actually gonna take this big tree and I'm gonna take these littler trees, and here are the pine trees. And I'm gonna end up doing a little bit of stamping first, and then we're going to get into the sponging. I have a really crazy dirty sponge here, but this one's my good luck sponge, so we're gonna have some fun with that. All right, so we've got trees here, and then this one I'm gonna put on my longer block, and I'm gonna do all the different colors because that's going to add, oh goodness, okay. That's going to add to the different textures. And my handy dandy stamp off, I want to do some stamping off on here as well because I'm looking for the texture. Okay, now we're going to change the color. And you'll see in the inspiration piece that there are trees back here. So I'm doing the same thing, just different stamp set. And what I grabbed, the Mossy Meadow. Okay, so we're gonna stamp that off too. And we're gonna just add some fun textures on here. And yes, you'll be able to see it, no worries. I did a first generation on that one. Textures. All right, now we're going to bring in that Old Olive, and here's where I call it dirtying. Here's where you're going to get that texture, that green background on that crumb cake. And to make it easier, you guys, I'm going to bring in this dirty piece of paper, this cardstock piece, so that I can just brush it on there. And you see how those ripped edges pick up all that ink? Love it. All right, so there's our Mossy, or our old olive. Now we're gonna bring in some Mossy. And be sure that you want your edges dark. I love that dark edge. And you guys, this really does kind of start taking shape a little bit. Can you see where we're going with that? Remember, that was just crumb cake. Look at the difference. Here's your difference. Look at that. And I didn't do a lot. All right, doing the same thing. Bringing in our colors. I think on this piece, I think we need to bring in some Just Jade on this one too. We'll lighten this bottom part. And see how that color mixes? Love it. Love it. All right. More like a little bit of spring grass in the valley part. Dirty your edges, and this is the edge that you're gonna see. So you wanna make sure that you're happy with this front piece, because you're gonna see all that. Okay, so there's that. Now we're gonna talk about these trees and some tissue. Again, white tissue is what I'm using. A green tissue would be super cool. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, working with all three of my greens, you guys. I know, be brave. I'm gonna stamp all that, and I'm gonna stamp that off, and I'm gonna bring in the Just Jade. And then some old olive, because what we're gonna do is we're going to end up trimming just the top part. That's why I spread out that. And that's gonna go between these two valleys here. It's gonna go in between. So you'll be able to see some of the trees, and then you'll have the tissue trees. It's gonna be super cool. Super cool. All right. Now, this is gonna take a while to dry. This is gonna be where we break. However, I wanna do a couple of more things before we end this video, because I want to use the embossing paste to add to our scene here. Again, it's all about textures. So we're going to, and you guys, I wonder, see, these are the things when I'm doing stuff, I wonder what it would look like. I'm only going to put a little bit of embossing paste on here, because what I'm thinking, oh, you guys, only in a video. Stamping that, and I'm going to pick up some of that embossing paste and stamp that. Can you see the different textures that that creates? That texture that's in that embossing paste. The other thing that we can do, now that it's got some ink in there, is that we can add texture just like that. And because we stamped in that with ink, we get that green color. But oh man, that's kind of looking cool. I like that stamped look. Get some more ink in that. And then we're gonna stamp that up there. So all that texture that we're adding into that. So that one's done. Now we've got this lower valley, and I need to clean this. Cleaning the stamp after the embossing folder, you guys, you're gonna want to, or embossing paste, sorry. I'm gonna clean this, and rinsing this under the sink is probably the best option. But for this video, because I wanna do some stamping, I'm gonna do a little bit more stamping with this. And then bring in that other color. And see, we only needed just a little bit of that embossing paste. And look at, again, the craft sheet is a must. We're gonna pull in that, and we're gonna use the last little bit of our embossing paste, and we're gonna add that to that. All right, so here's what we accomplished today. We did our valley pieces, our 2 valley pieces, and this needs to dry. And then we also did, and let me close this ink because I know I'll put something in it, you guys. Hang on. Close that. And then we also did our trees on our tissue paper. So that's what we got now. This, like I said, needs to dry. So I'm going to go, and I gotta wash this off. So watch for the next video, and we're gonna put it all together. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm super excited. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day getting crafty, guys. Bye.